What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Easy Convo. I'm Zayd. I'm here with my co-host, Emmanuel Bird. How are we feeling today, man?
We're feeling good, champ. How we doing? How we doing?
Good, man. Good. We got an awesome guest for you guys today. I'm gonna let take the reins of the formal introduction, so you can go ahead.
Definitely. We are very excited for today's guest. This is one of country music's biggest rising stars, a nominee and an inductee, I guess you could say, into the top 10 women of country in 2026. Is that correct, Molly?
Yeah, I
That's
like that. I like that. Yeah.
okay. This is somebody to definitely be on the watch list for when it comes to country music and the sound of country music and the women's division, and also just in general. We are very excited to have our guest today, Molly Lovett. She just dropped her debut album titled Molly Lovett. So we will get into that for sure as the conversation goes on. But let's snap it up for Molly today, man. Let's snap it up for her.
Thanks, guys.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Like we always say, Molly, we're going to get through your journey. We're going to get into where your journey with country music started today. And we hope, as with everyone that we have on today, this is an easy conversation for you.
Love it. Well, I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
yeah, no, definitely appreciate you coming on. Just to start off, why don't you tell the audience, a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Yeah, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and music was always just it for me. I grew up in a music and a sports family, I always say, because like every weekend I feel like we were going to some kind of concert or going to like watch a local band or something, but at the same time we were running around to like basketball games and soccer games and things at all times. So I always had this love of music and basketball. I played most of my life as well. But kind of followed the music path, and it took me to Nashville all these years later.
100%. And kind of still sticking into that upbringing. And you mentioned playing basketball and going to all these different events and things like that. Obviously, I had the opportunity to play basketball with your brother for 2 years at Truman State, which is a great time. Where did that divide for you kind of come where you were like, all right, I'm leaning more towards the music side than the sports side growing up?
That It's actually kind of a crazy story. So I was doing both for a long time, and for a while my plan was like, okay, I'm going to play college basketball and then I'll move to Nashville because I knew that I still wanted to do both.
Hmm.
And it was the end of my, I guess, freshman year. I think I was like 14 or so, and I fell in a game, like out of nowhere, just collapsed. And now we look back and we say, God, like, shoved me to the ground because I went to the hospital and they found that I had an 8-inch bone tumor in my leg. So it was obviously shocking. And the doctors were like, if you would not have fallen, we would have not found this and your leg would have just shattered. Like very bad things would have happened. Um, so it was such a weird, wonderful blessing that that happened. And during that time, I had surgery and luckily it was benign. So they were able to like move forward with surgery. And I was out of basketball for about a year and a half long recovery. And so during that time, I was learning guitar and just writing a ton of music. My dad and I actually sat and like learned guitar on YouTube together, and it was just a really cool time in like a dark, kind of scary time of my life. But I ended up going back and playing one more season of basketball because I wanted to just kind of like prove to myself that I could get healthy and get back in shape and do it. And then, yeah, I played the one season and I was like, I miss music. Like I miss getting to play shows on the weekends and just do all of that. So I went full force music.
Definitely. You mentioned, playing the guitar with your dad growing up, from the freshman year of high school. But outside of your dad, who were some early believers, in your music abilities and people that kind of guided how you played music and, kind of instilled, like music, how you practice music? Who were some of those people in your life?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely my parents. They were like day one believers. I started writing songs when I was in kindergarten and I would perform them at my school talent shows. And, my parents were front row and like always just so excited. And they actually put me in like songwriting camps when I was young so that I would get to record my songs in a studio and, took me to piano lessons and voice lessons. And I think they always wanted to put me in a place where I was going to be supported. So like my first, piano teacher and the songwriting camp people, and I feel I was very, very supported by a lot of different people at a young age, which I think is so special. And I'm very lucky to have had that because I know that a lot of people don't. And I think that that is one of the reasons why I felt like, oh, like I can really do this. Like people don't think I'm crazy.
When you're growing up and like you mentioned starting writing music in kindergarten, what are you putting into these lyrics in kindergarten? Like what are we writing about at this time?
You guys, I have always been the drama. Like I was in kindergarten, probably like this boy is cute and he's not looking at me. Like I just I was like the kid like listening to sad songs, looking out the window, just like being dramatic. Like I there was just there was
Nobody sitting next to you on the bus. It's just you. Just
literally just like tears strolling down my face. Yeah. Like I just anything that I have ever felt, and still to this day, anytime I feel a big feeling, I immediately am writing.
Mm.
And I think, I've definitely gotten a lot better as I've gotten older. But looking back, I actually remember one of the songs that I played at the talent show was called I'm Growing Up on Rock and Roll. Just to give you a taste, I wrote a song called My Dad that I gave to him for Father's Day one year when I was little. Like, yeah, I wrote about my life.
Was
Definitely.
Zane, I'll let you go. I don't know if you.
No, no, go ahead.
I
Sorry.
was gonna add you mentioned like performing early and like that's something I can kind of relate to in terms of just like I remember growing up in the church and stuff and having to sing in the choir and do all of those types of things. But like, was there ever any sense of like nervousness to like go up on stage and perform at talent shows and just like these are your classmates. Like they're like, oh, Molly's gonna perform today, but obviously I don't want to continue going on the question, but that's my question in itself. Was there any nerves going into these performances when you were young?
Honestly, no. Especially when I was young. I would say when I got to like high school, doing some of the high school talent shows, I would definitely get a little nervous because I think that's just an age where you're very aware of like your image and like what people think of you. But definitely when I was younger, I was just like I love attention and I love to sing and I am so excited to be on stage. There were some years where I made my friends get up and sing like my songs with me for the talent. Like I loved to perform.
Got your own backup singers in kindergarten. That's great.
Yeah, my poor, I'm pretty sure I made Maggie and Brennan perform things with me too. They're actually, we need to find this because you would love this. There's a video of Brennan. He's probably in like fourth grade or something. And I was making a cover like to post on YouTube. And I had him play the tambourine and he's in the background, just like
I
straight
need
face, just like hitting the tambourine. It's so funny.
We need that video ASAP.
Yeah.
But obviously you've had a love for music since you were young, but when do you feel like was that point for you that it went from, something that you really just enjoy to do and it's fun for you to like, okay, this is something I seriously want to pursue. When was that moment for you?
Yeah, it was definitely college. So I actually went to college for 1 year. I went to school in Kentucky. It's called Murray State University. And I actually chose that school because it was only about an hour and a half from Nashville. And I knew that eventually I wanted to get to Nashville. And during that year, we had like one bar on campus, and I was playing there like almost every Friday night. And I was writing a ton. And I actually came home that Christmas break back home to St. Louis and I played my first big, like full band show in St. Louis and just had literally the best night ever. And that was the moment that I was like, oh, like this could be my life. Like I could just start doing this like now. And so I'm a very like type A perfectionist kind of person. And so I made a PowerPoint presentation and I presented it to my parents. And I was like, this is why I should leave college and move to Nashville. And they were like, okay, like you didn't need to do all that. But yeah, like we're behind you. Like we believe in you. Let's do it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that was just another like time of the support where I was like, I'm not crazy. Like my parents, people believe in me and think that I can actually do this. So I moved back home to St. Louis. This was 2019 going into 2020. So I was planning to move to Nashville early 2020. And then, as we all know, the world kind of shut down for a little bit. So that was also kind of worked out in a weird way too, because it forced me to stay in St. Louis a little longer. And I think that doing that, I was able to like just grow in my music a little more. Like I was playing bars and wineries literally every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in St. Louis for like a whole year. So I got so much better and so much more confident in my performing before I moved to Nashville, which I think was awesome.
Definitely, that speaks to the development of your journey. And I want to hone in on you said it was your freshman year of college where you kind of had that shift of like, okay, this is definitely something that I'm going to pursue, I'm going to do. And we kind of talk about it all the time here on our platform, like chasing a dream and being passionate about the dream you're chasing. And like, is there any advice or any words of encouragement you would have to anyone where it's like, this is something you saw, you wanted to pursue it, you knew this was something that you were destined to do, and you went after it. Like you didn't second guess and say, okay, I'm gonna wait for the right opportunity. You just it happened, it fell in your lap and you took advantage of it. Is there any encouragement or advice that you would have for anyone that's like looking for that boost of encouragement per se?
Yeah, I'm like just such a big believer. I think that if you feel something in you, like if God has put something in your heart, like it's supposed to happen and you're supposed to go after it. And I totally get that it can be scary, but
Hmm.
I think it's scarier to not do it and to like think of, 10, 15 years later and looking back like, oh, wish I would have tried, wish I would have moved to Nashville. If it doesn't work out, then you did it, you tried. But I also believe that like if you put your everything into something, if you have no plan B, if you plan for failure, you're probably gonna fail. So I think that was a big reason why I left college too, because I was like, I don't want a degree to fall back on. Like I want to put my everything into this. And I think just trying to kind of ingrain that and have that be your mindset, and also surrounding yourself with people who believe that and who believe in you, I think is one of like the best things you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
Definitely.
On the back end of that question, was there ever any moments like early in your career of doing these per se, I guess you could say house shows or like these bar shows where there's probably, 30, 40 people, maybe 45 people in the crowd, and you're like, man, this is challenging, this is tough. Like how are you able to balance that and like that, all right, but it's gonna get bigger. It's gonna turn into something greater, which it obviously has and is continuing to do.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I still feel that now. There's a lot of times I play a lot of hotel gigs here in Nashville to just kind of pay the bills, and it's something that I don't really post about or share much because they're not like the big cool shows that I like to do. But it's things that, you have to do to until you really make it. Like you gotta make money somehow. And there's so many times where I'll go to the shows and it's awesome and I get to sing all my songs and people are singing along and it's great. But then there's the times where, yeah, there's like 10 people at the bar and you're sitting there like, nobody cares that I'm here. No one's paying attention. Like I actually, this was like months ago because the music industry, there's just such highs and lows. And I was just having one of those like low days and I went to go play a hotel gig that night. And of course, it was one of those nights nobody was there. And I just had like a tear falling down my face singing. And I was like, this is awful. But then, the next day, something cool happens and it's like, okay, everything's going to be okay. So I think that's just a part of the industry. And I think a lot about like having a sports background of like the mental toughness it takes. Because, as much as you have to, have good music and songs and whatever to make it in this industry, like you have to be mentally tough because you get torn down quite a bit.
Definitely. And, I feel like when you think of like performing music, obviously there's the music part of it, but then there's also you kind of develop a personality like of yourself when you're performing. How do you think like you found this personality of yourself and like kind of what is your performing personality, you would say?
Yeah, I think I'm just like a louder version of myself on stage. Like truly there are some things that come out of my mouth when I'm on stage and I'm like, did I just say that? Like, oh my gosh, but I really don't plan a ton of what I'm gonna say. Like a lot of it is just kind of in the moment and feeling the crowd. And yeah, what I love about country music is the songs are all like just so real life. And so it's really easy to just kind of be myself on stage because I'm singing about my life and things that have happened to me.
Definitely. For anyone that doesn't listen to country music, I always tell them, I always say, you have to listen to the lyrics. You have to really hear what the artist is writing about to really understand the song. But I want to ask you, was it you? I think you said earlier there was a song you wrote growing up on rock and roll. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yes, it's one
Was
of the
it
first.
was it always country music, or was it like did you kind of fall into this lane of like this is where I'm going to pursue, or like what were the different genres of music that you tried out, or was it always country music for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I grew up listening to literally all kinds of music. Like my parents love the classic rock. They also, listened to a lot of country growing up. My grandparents listened to a lot of country music, so I definitely heard a lot from them. I listened to a lot of pop, rap. Like I really listened to everything. And I wouldn't probably have considered myself country, when I was even in high school singing covers and things like that. It was something that I just kind of, I think, as I got older and I started writing, the songs I was writing were more so country. And I think as I got older too, I started really loving the country artists. Like I loved, Miranda Lambert and Carrie Underwood and Shania Twain. Taylor Swift was
Zayd,
always
write
my.
that down. Zayd, write that down. These are
I'll
good
say yes. I'm gonna make you a playlist. That's what
answers.
I'm gonna do.
I need up my country listening. I need to up it.
Yes, yes. We'll get you a playlist going. You got to listen to Ella Langley. Everybody loves Ella Langley right now.
Everybody loves Ella Langley.
Yeah. But
That's
That
yeah, I always loved country, but I loved all kinds of genres. So I just kind of I think as I got older, my songs just kind of went more the country direction.
definitely. You kind of mentioned a bunch of different names within country, and country music is such a wide landscape. I feel like nowadays, there's just so much different versions of country music. How do you kind of find your niche in country music? Of this is kind of the lane you want to go down within country.
Yeah, it's funny. Like if you listen to some of my songs back in 2020, I think was the first songs I released out of Nashville. They are like country, like fiddle, steel guitar, like that kind of vibe. And I just dove headfirst into like country Nashville. And then you just kind of get to know yourself and your style more as you keep going and writing. I mean, I've written hundreds and hundreds of songs. I typically write like 150 songs a year. And I write with a lot of different songwriters and artists here in Nashville. So there's a lot of songs to choose from. So I've definitely written the like country songs. I've written a lot of pop songs, some like emo kind of pop punk songs for other artists. I just love music and songs. So I love to write. But yeah, if you listen obviously to my music now, it's a lot more pop country. And I think it's just different influences. Like some of my favorite artists right now are like Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Dean, Taylor Swift still. So it's like I think just as my personal music style has changed a little bit, like my music has also changed a little bit.
I think that that's like a perfect segue into the debut album, like that sound that you're now putting out to like this is Molly Lovett. This album, these songs that I'm giving to you guys are the cream of the crop per se. What went into that creative process to now saying, okay, I've collected the best songs or the songs that I feel most connected to give to my audience. What went into that creative process?
Yeah, it was quite a process. I had only ever put out singles. And
Mhm.
when you're writing singles, it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever song I'm really loving right now, I'm gonna release to the world. So for the album, it was just so much planning. My producer and I sat down and listened to so many songs, and there were so many songs that were so close to making the record that ended up falling off toward the end because I ended up writing something that I liked better. And um, the whole purpose of this album, especially being self-titled, was I just wanted to like introduce myself to the world in my own words in my own way. And so, I wanted the friend songs. I wanted the love songs, the heartbreak songs, the family songs. Like I wanted every piece of me to be incorporated in this album somehow. And my hope is that everybody will find at least a song that they can relate to.
I think when you talk about like albums and the way they're put together and like the themes and the emotional anchors that come into the whole set put together, I think one thing I really like about artists is when they like, you release the 12 to 14 songs and then later on you add like three songs that like, on the back end of it, like kind of like a bonus, kind of like a bonus.
I have not announced that, but we might be doing
Oh,
that.
okay.
Really good push.
Right. Yes, I also love that. I love when artists do like a deluxe version of their albums.
Mhm.
Definitely. You're kind of talking about on this album, you have like a more family one, a more sad story one, or is there a certain song like on this album that was like kind of most personal to you that like you felt, kind of almost made yourself vulnerable through? Is there a certain song on this album?
Yes, and it's one that I went back and forth on if I should release it or not. It's actually the last song on the album. It's called Giving Up, and it's an outro. So it's literally just a minute and a half long. It's not even a full length song. And it was something that I wrote. We talked about the highs and lows of the music industry, and it was on one of those low days. I always, for some reason, get sad after Christmas because I'm home with my family and like everything is kind of just on pause for a little bit. And then you get back to Nashville and it's like, oh my gosh, okay, it's a new year. What am I doing with my life? Like, I miss my parents, and it's just like all of these things. And I'm like, it's you kind of have this little spiral, or at least I do every January. And so I was just in that moment, and I was sitting on my bed, just sad, and I wrote this song called "Giving Up," and it talks about how even though I'm not giving up on my dream. Like I'm here in Nashville, I'm doing it. I'm giving up so much in my life. I'm giving up my family and my friends back home and, getting to watch my little cousins grow up. And it's really hard to, you know, not be giving up on your dream, but giving up so many other things in life.
Definitely. And I think that that's like a perfect segue into the next question I was going to ask you is like, how has living in Nashville, you said the past 5 or so years, how has being there, being surrounded by the community you have there helped to continue to inspire you, help to continue to mold and build you into the artist that you're aspiring and you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, Nashville has such a wonderful community of people. When I
Mhm.
moved here, I didn't really know anyone. So I would just show up to different bars and venues and anyone that walked off stage. I was so bold back then. I would just go introduce myself to everyone. I was like, "Hey, I'm Molly. I just moved here. Would love to grab a coffee with you or whatever." And I'm so grateful that I did that because that's literally how I made all of my friends and connections and people here in town. And it's so nice just having people who know exactly what you're feeling and going through and understand, and to be able to celebrate the wins and the different things. I got to have like an album celebration party here in Nashville last month, and just things like that are such a reminder of like, okay, yeah, we're all in it together and we all support each other and believe in each other, and that's a really cool thing to have.
Definitely. Sorry, I just got. You mentioned.
Whoa, 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 hey.
Sorry, no, I just had to comment there. Sorry. You mentioned. I like how you touched on right there. Like you were just going up to people at local bars in Nashville. You know, just networking, talking to people. And I kind of want to ask you. I think a lot of people out there, they have, dreams, have aspirations, but they're not willing to put themselves out there. They're not willing to go have those conversations. They're not willing to, they're just afraid of like the perception of how they might perceive themselves, putting themselves out there to the public eye. What do you think the importance is for like someone, let's say chasing a dream in music or chasing a dream outside of music? What's that actually putting yourself out there to the public eye?
Yeah, I think it's something that you just have to find a way to get over. Like, because truly, if you're not, putting yourself out there and making connections and doing whatever it is you want to be doing, then there's no reason you should expect that something's just magically gonna like fall out of the air and happen for you. So I know that it's scary, and there's even times now, I think it's harder for me now that I do know a lot of people in Nashville now, and I have more of a reputation, where back then it was like, we've never seen this girl in our life. Um, that it is sometimes harder for me to go up to people and be like, "Hi, like I'm Molly," and whatever, but it's just something that you have to just get over. We all think we're like the center of the world and everyone is like watching us and thinking about us at all times, but it's like nobody cares. And if you embarrass yourself, like no one's going to think about that tomorrow. Like yeah, so you kind of just gotta get over yourself and do it.
It depends on what you do. If you fall down a flight of stairs, people might remember that one.
They might, but hey, it might be good that they remember you.
That's a
Yeah.
good point. That's a great way to look at it. Obviously, touching on the community you have in Nashville and the inspiration you continue to draw from them and inspiration you give to them as well. Kind of leads me into the next question I have for you. In touring and performing and living on the road at times, like how is that experience for you, and how are you able to continue to grow and touch new audiences? Because like the crowd in Nashville is obviously that's a big country music scene, but you just got back from Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Like how was that tour for you, or that road trip for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, playing shows is like my favorite thing ever. To actually be in front of the people who, are listening to your songs, or getting to like introduce yourself to new people for the first time. So yeah, Florida was beautiful, so cool. The stage was literally right on the water, so it was just gorgeous. But yeah, as soon as I moved to Nashville, actually, I put a band together because that was like top priority. I was like, I want to be on the road. I want to tour. I love it. And I actually bought a van, like a 15 passenger van a couple of years ago. So my band and we load up the van and we drive all over the country, all over the place. But it really is my favorite thing ever, is getting to play shows.
Say
Super
we need to
fun.
get a van. We need to get an easy kind of
Like that's
van.
our next investment is
I
that
like it.
Need
I
to get
like
on the
that.
road. The easy van.
the easy van. We could maybe we might not need a 15-person van, but maybe like 5 person
Okay.
to 10 person van. Like
I like
summer
Um,
it.
thing. I think we make that happen. Um, from like an outside perspective, like obviously touring's fun, you enjoy it, and it's obviously a good time. But would you say is the harder part of touring? That people might not see from an outside perspective.
Yeah, one thing that was like something I learned quickly was that as the artist, you are the boss. Like you are in charge of the whole crew, the band, everybody. And, when I first started touring, I was like freshly 21, and I had hired people that were in their 30s, 40s. And so it was really interesting for me to be like telling them what to do, like, the boss of them, and they would look to me for like instruction. And I was the one who was booking all of our hotel rooms, and I was paying for our dinners and coordinating travel. Like it was a learning curve for sure to be like, oh, like even though all of these people are older than me and have been in the business for a long time, like they're looking to me because I'm the name, I'm the artist. And still to this day, there eventually will come a point where I'll be able to hire on a tour manager who will coordinate and do all of those things. But for the most part, I'm still doing pretty much everything. So it's wearing a lot of different hats while on the road when, hopefully someday soon I'll get to just be the artist and play the show. But yeah, for now, I'm doing a lot more than that.
I think that that's a really cool dynamic though of like when you do get to the point of having a tour manager and more people a part of your team, you kind of get the understanding of like, oh, I've worn that hat before. Like I know how I want this to look, and being able to collaborate with them rather than just like, all right, you take it, I'm just gonna run off and do whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great point. And that is something I think to myself a lot about is, there's a lot of artists, especially this day and age, who blow up on TikTok and immediately they have a record deal and they're on the big tour and they're doing all these things. And it's like they have never been, in my position and they don't know how everything works. And, sometimes that can be frustrating for me to be like, when is it going to be my turn to like blow up on TikTok and all of this? But I am grateful that like I have had to just dive in and like learn all of these roles and things because I think it's going to make me a better boss eventually in the future when I do have more of a team. And it's going to make me appreciate everything a lot more too.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we look at things the same way with our platform of like, the slow grind really helps you appreciate the journey a lot more and helps you appreciate the steps that it does take to get to where you want to get to. On the topic of touring, is there a specific place you've been or a specific show that you've done that's like stands above all the rest, or is you have maybe like a top three? I know it's probably hard to rank all the shows, but maybe like a top three.
Yes, I can do a top three.
Okay.
Okay, one of them will be last summer. I got to go back to my hometown and I got to open a show for my friend Alexandra Kay is her name. She is amazing and has a like crazy, like almost cult following in the best way. Like her fans are incredible. And it was her biggest hometown headlining show. So we played this amphitheater and it was sold out at 5,000 people. And when I tell you people were lining up at like 2 p.m. for a 7 o'clock show, like it was the craziest, coolest thing I've ever been a part of. And ever since that show, anytime I play, there are people who will travel to come to my shows and they say, I saw you open for Alexandra Kay and we've been following you. And like, it's the craziest thing ever. Like, just from that one show that I gained so many like genuine fans. So that was a really cool one. I got to open up for Dirks Bentley a couple years ago, if you guys know who that is. He's been around forever. Like he was somebody I grew up listening to. And we were backstage before the show, and I asked him, it's like, because the worst somebody can say is no, you might as well ask. And I asked him if I could go out and sing a song with him that night. I was like, like no big deal if not, but I've been such a big fan forever. And he's got like quite a few duets. So I was like, if you want to do one of them, I'd love to sing it. And he was like, yeah, totally. Like, let's do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so crazy. So I got to go out with Dirk Bentley in front of his whole big crowd and sing one of his songs with him, which was like insane. Um, and then the past year, I've done a few headlining shows in Nashville, in St. Louis as well. And those have been just incredible getting to like play my songs and know that everyone is there for me. Because as the opener of a lot of shows, you're like there to hype up the crowd for the headliner and kind of introduce yourself because most people don't know you. But, having your own headlining show and knowing that everybody bought tickets for you is like the coolest thing ever.
Those the top three. Top.
Yeah, top
I'm
three.
inspired. I'm inspired. I think I'm gonna start writing songs, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, I think
I'm
good.
full of touch right.
Hilarious. Obviously, we just talked about your top three like moments in performing, places you performed. Kind of on the flip side, do you have like any special moments, like interactions with a fan that kind of stuck with you about something they said about your music or what your music has done for them? Is on these tours, has there ever been a moment for you that a fan mentioned something that kind of stuck with you?
Oh my gosh, yes. I think one of my favorite parts of my shows is looking out, and the front row is almost always like little girls, and just watching them sing my lyrics back to me, especially when it's a song. I have a song called The Bar that's about like lowering your bar for someone essentially and trying to get out of that cycle and watching like little girls sing those lyrics and it's just like it gets me emotional because I'm like, oh my gosh, like yeah, I hope that you guys grow up listening to this song and you don't lower your bar for anyone. And yeah, definitely just women who have gone through heartbreak or I have a song called Growing Up Wrong that's on the album that I've gotten a lot of messages about of just people who are like, thank you for just writing something so real. And the opening line of that song is actually, I've gained a little weight. Yeah, sometimes I love and hate my body. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna say that. Like, because I think people need to hear it and know that like nobody is perfect and we all have these like thoughts that aren't always wonderful all the time, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I wanna kind of answer Zayd's question a little bit too. You know, Zayd, not all the fans are young girls too. You know, I'm a fan. I got a couple Molly Lovett songs that I got in the playlist. I
Okay.
think the song is it's either Friend Breakup. It's called Friend Breakup or Not Even My Ex. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it's a great song.
Wow.
Listen to
Oh my
that
gosh, that's
one.
kind of a deep cut.
Yeah,
Wow. Thank you.
I'm bopping that one a lot. But
Thank-
we talked about the album. We talked about the shows that you've had in the past. What's next for you? With this debut album dropping? What shows are you looking forward to? Future projects, and then we can get into the long term vision after that.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, this album has been done since last September and it just now is coming out into the world. So I'm just so excited and living in its moment right now. And I'm excited to get to play some shows now and get to, play the album at the shows. I've got a show coming up in Nashville in a few weeks at Third and Lindsley, which is like a really cool venue here that I've only ever gone to shows at. I've never gotten to play. So I'm really excited about that. That's June 18th. And then we're hitting the road. So we've got like some shows in Maryland in July, heading to Missouri as well. And just kind of see where the wind takes us. We've got actually already booked some things for next year that I'm really excited about. Um, that I can't quite say what yet, but I am very excited about. And I am, like I said, very type A planner. So we have some projects that are already in the works as well for next year that hopefully I'll get to start talking about soon. But yeah, really just kind of living in the album world right now and trying to get it out to as many people as possible.
That's exciting. You mentioned Missouri. I was you said you're from St. Louis. Is it pretty exciting for you when you get to go back to that area? And
It
like, do you
is.
get a lot of friends and family that get to come watch you perform out there?
Yes, it is. I used to go back so much. Like I was playing back in St. Louis like almost once a month, and now it's definitely a lot less because I'm doing bigger shows and I'm just not able to do big shows in St. Louis once a month.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that makes it even more special too because I don't get to go back as much. So now when I do, it's like yes, I gotta make sure I can see all the friends and the family and the kiddos, and yeah, it's really special.
I want to ask, in 5 to 10 years, what are you hoping that the landscape of your career is shaping out or looking like? Yeah,
I would hope in the next 5 to 10 years that I am a name that everybody knows and that I've got at least a few like radio number ones under my belt. Um, I would say selling out arenas in the next 10 years. Um, and just, yeah, playing music that I love and care about and finding a group of people. I almost don't like the word fan base. Like they're like my people. Just finding a group of people who love my music as much as I do and want to be a part of what I'm doing.
Definitely. You mentioned fan base. If you have a message, the people that kind of supporting from day one and kind of following along your journey, any message to those people, any thank yous or, anything you want to tell those people that have been supporting you since day one and kind of along in your journey.
Yes, I mean, yeah, thank you so much to everybody who has listened. I look back at videos of myself, like even that show that I did over Christmas break, the one that kind of like changed everything and I decided to move to Nashville. Like I look back at videos of that show and I'm like, people thought I was good. Like that was a very like wow. Like so for all of you who have been with me since back then and saw, the potential and the vision, thank you. And yeah, I'm so grateful because as things are growing, like those are the people that I recognize it shows and that, I will never forget because you guys have been there and believed in me.
definitely. Now let's snap it up, champ. Let's snap it up for sure. I love
Sure.
that. I love that.
Thanks.
Zay, you know what time it is.
hmm
Give me the. Come on, give me the intro here.
I think what he's referring to. I think it's time for the easy choice.
It
I
Oh
think
is.
it's
boy.
time for the easy choice.
Okay. I'm
If
scared.
I could explain this in the easiest fashion for you, Molly, we talked about it a little bit before the pod. The easy choice is a segment that we do with all of our guests here recently, where I have, I think today we have a total of 10 questions. Yeah, we have 10 questions for you here, and they're rapid fire questions. They get progressively harder as we go. So I'm going to just spitball these questions at you, and all you have to do is make the easy choice.
Oh boy. Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm scared, but I'm ready.
All right. What's something that's been bringing you joy lately?
My boyfriend.
Shout out to the boyfriend.
Shout out
What's
Seppi.
what's a habit or ritual that people would never guess about you?
This is kind of hard.
They get harder.
Yeah, this is only question two. Oh my gosh. Um, maybe that this isn't a ritual, but like a habit. I like to read. I feel like I probably don't give like reader vibes. I don't know.
We obviously touched on the music. What's a dream outside of music that you've been chasing when nobody around you is necessarily fully supporting it?
Um, I feel like I'm surrounded by really supportive people. Um, the people aren't supporting. Okay, this is like another dream of mine. It's not necessarily one that people aren't supporting, but probably one that people aren't supporting like currently. I definitely want to like be a mom and have a family someday. And I also know, along with everyone else in my life, that like we can't be doing that right now because I have a career to go after. But eventually, that is another dream of mine.
Definitely. What's a song of yours that revealed something to you that you didn't expect it would?
Hmm. I think I think in my song Giving Up, the one we talked about, the outro, I think those that was like a thought that I had never, I guess, put into words. Like it was more so a feeling, I guess, that I had been I didn't know why I was like feeling this sadness, especially like post holidays. And I was like, I'm a happy person. Like I'm in Nashville and this is great. And I think being able to write that song and like get those thoughts out of my head was kind of like an awakening of like, oh, okay, like two things can be true. Like you can be happy that you're chasing this dream, but you can also be sad that like, you miss your family and your friends and people.
We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but what's a hard truth about the music industry that you didn't expect before getting into it?
I think that this is gonna sound harsh, but like no one cares about you until you're really doing something. And it makes sense. I mean, the music industry is a business, so people have to make money. And if you're not currently, going viral and making a bunch of money, then like, nobody really cares, which is sad. But that's
Is
why you kind of got to put in the work until people care.
definitely. All right, three more questions for you. What's a moment on stage that changed the way you see yourself today?
Um, hmm. There was a moment last year I played my first Nashville headlining ticketed show, and my parents came to town, and I played this song called Baby Girl by Sugarland, which is like one of my favorite songs of all time. And I've known how much my parents like love and support me obviously my whole life, but playing that song, I like broke down in the middle of it on stage. Couldn't like was trying to sing and get through, and I look out, my mom is crying, my dad was crying. Like we all were, and I think it was, yeah, I think it was just this moment of like, oh my gosh, like this is real. Like I'm headlining a show in Nashville, and like, yeah, I think especially with my parents having, seen me from writing songs in kindergarten to now, it was just like the biggest full circle moment. And I know that whenever I, do get to play arenas or have, a radio song or whatever it is someday, like knowing how much my parents have like always been there and believed in me, it was like the coolest thing.
Those are definitely those this is why we play moments for sure.
Mm.
What is a worry or a fear you're learning to work through right now instead of looking at it as a defeat?
I think because of the album being out now. So the album's been out for about a month,
Hmm.
and I'm starting to have this fear of like, okay, that, was a whole year and a half of my life that I was working on this project, and it's finally out, and it's still like got hype and people are talking about it and posting about it, but like in a couple months I'm like, are people going to be like, okay, what's next? Like clock's ticking, like we're the album's good, but like what's next? And it's like, oh my gosh, I just spent a year and a half in my life savings on this record. Like, please. So I hope that the album moment kind of lives on for a while.
Definitely. And you touch on lives on, and that goes right into our last question for the easy choice. When your career is starting to dwindle, and I'm sure being a writer, you'll always want to write and produce music and things like that. What are you hoping that the legacy is left? What legacy are you hoping to leave under the Molly Lovett name?
Yeah. One of my favorite little phrases is kindness is free. And that's something that I always try to just like put out into the world is kindness and being a good person. And I think if you listen to my songs, you can kind of get that feel. And so I hope that anybody who has been impacted by my music or been to a show or whatever it is just feels that like genuine love and kindness. And yeah, I hope my music lives on forever and that I'm able to have kids and grandkids someday who listen and love it and yeah, and just spread the love and the kindness.
Definitely. Hey, you gotta love it. That was the easy choice. That was the easy choice with Molly Lovett. We appreciate you.
Yeah, those are some
Let's
tough
snap it
ones.
up, Chet. You can't leave me hanging on the snap
Those
up.
might be the harder ones I've heard so far on this podcast.
Yeah, those were
Like,
good. They were really good.
no, you did a good job. The final question we always ask all our guests at the end of the episode. We always ask them if there's one guest, now that you've done your conversation on with the Easy Convo, is if there's one guest that you'd want to see come on our podcast and listen to, who would that guest be?
I want to see Brennan Lovett on this podcast.
Let's do it.
Oh, man, we can make that happen. I'm gonna call B right now and see if he wants to join.
Please, please.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd definitely be very fun. But
definitely.
I think that's all we got for today. Obviously, on my end, I really appreciate you coming on. Obviously, really cool to hear your journey and what you got going on. And best of luck to you in all your future endeavors. I'm sure you've already got big things going on. But I'm sure even bigger things are coming. So best of
Thank
luck to you.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, you guys are awesome. This was so much fun. Yeah, thanks a ton.
Molly, make sure you send me that playlist so I can get it over to this guy, get him on some
I
country
got
music
you. I will be making you a playlist. Yep.
because he needs to expand that palette.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I got high hopes. I got high hopes. I got high trust that you're gonna send some good ones. So
I
Yeah,
got you. I'll mix some of mine in there too, so you can
hey,
listen to some of my stuff. There you
yeah,
go.
no, I'm definitely gonna go get the new album to listen after.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, for
definitely.
sure.
For like Zayd said, for anyone listening, make sure you check out Molly Lovett's debut album titled Molly Lovett. It's out, I'm sure, on all platforms. You can check it out, give it a listen to it while you ride in your car, listen to it while you're working out in the gym, listen to it while you're just sitting on the couch, whatever you're doing, make sure you're listening to Molly Lovett. Stop playing yourself.
Definitely.
That's but Molly, obviously, we appreciate you for coming on. This was great. Enjoyed the conversation. Like Zayd said, best of luck to you and your continued success in your career. And we appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you.
Hope
Yeah,
it was hope it was an easy conversation.
it was an easy combo. Hard questions at the end, but easy combo. Yes.
Great.
Yeah, for everyone listening, if you enjoyed content like this, make sure you like, comment, and share. I'm gonna plug you one more time. It's summertime, obviously. Everyone's gonna be on the boats. Let's throw some Molly Lovett country music on.
You gotta love it.
I don't
You
see
gotta
why
love it.
not.
Right, gotta love it.
I don't see why not. But yeah, we appreciate you coming on, Molly.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.